Welcome to Spectrum 101, Strategies for Success in High School. We'll talk about organization, note-taking, and studying as the building blocks to success. This is great for students starting out in high school, but also for students in senior grades who need a bit of a refresher. When it comes to organization, some things you'll need to think about are the supplies you need to get started, keeping track of your work through agendas, apps, or homework logs. In your collaboration groups, you should have a supplies checklist. You might already have all of these supplies, but there could be a few on here that you haven't thought about. Make sure that you have a good binder system, a pouch to keep all of your stuff in, and think about things like flashcards, highlighters, and sticky notes. You can use some of your collaboration time to organize your binder or your backpack so that you can go from looking like this to looking like this. You can also ask your peer tutors for help with keeping track of your work in an agenda. If you don't have an agenda, they are available in the main office and in the library. You can also get some of our extra school supplies in the library if you're missing some of the things on your list. Some students like to keep track of their work day to day in their agenda or in a larger calendar format. Other students prefer to use apps, like a basic calendar app, reminders or notes, or even a free app like My Homework. You can also keep track of your work in an assignment log like this one. There are a few templates available in your collaboration rooms. Sometimes your teacher might provide you an assignment log, and then it's your job to just update the date when the assignment is due. Now let's talk about note-taking. Are you ready to be a note-taking star? I know it's a bit silly, but it's an acronym that will help you keep track of how you need to set up your page before the lesson, take notes during the lesson, apply your thinking, and review your notes after the lesson. This might seem like a lot, and you could be wondering, well, what if I just take the notes? Isn't that enough? Take a guess as to how much you will actually remember the next day if all you do is take the notes and you skip the other steps. You'll get a chance to talk to your neighbor and be prepared to share with the group. Pause the video and take a guess now. Ready? On day 2, you will only remember 20 to 50% of what you learned if all you do is take the notes and never look at them or think about them again. Take another guess. How much do you think you'll remember after a month if you don't review your notes? Talk to your neighbor and be prepared to share your answer. Pause the video now. Ready? After a month, you will only remember 2 to 3% of what you learned, unless you take the time to review and revisit your notes. One system that allows you to do this is called Cornell Notes, and some of your teachers at Spectrum will ask you to take notes in this format. And we do this because students who take and use Cornell Notes as a study tool retain 90 to 100% of what they learned. Before the lesson, you're going to set up your page. You can do this with any sheet of lined paper by creating a large margin on the left-hand side and leaving some space at the bottom. Or you might be interested in using a Cornell Notes template. There will be a few available to you in your collaboration rooms. When you set up your page, you will also fill in your name, the class, and the date, and if you know it, the topic. Then it's time to take notes during the lesson. You do this on the right-hand side of the page. You should have a handout in your collaboration rooms with some notes already on them. Here are some tips on when to actually take notes. The obvious one is when the speaker says to take notes. You'll also want to jot things down when the speaker says something that you didn't already know. A good clue is when a speaker presents using PowerPoint or other visuals, or when the speaker writes on the board. And finally, if the teacher says this will be on the test, it's probably a good idea to write it down in your notes. Here are some tips on how to take notes. With the Cornell Notes system, you're going to write on the right-hand side of the page. You'll be able to write faster if you abbreviate words and paraphrase or restate what the teacher is saying. It's especially helpful to write in your own words because it allows you to process the information. It's also a really good idea to leave some space, so skip at least 2 lines between each idea. Finally, you want to use symbols, pictures, or diagrams in your notes because adding a visual allows you to retain more information as well. Now we know that we will forget a lot of information unless we revisit our notes in that first day. So within 24 hours after the lesson, it's time to apply your thinking. You're going to fill in some of those spaces with extra information from your textbook, from other students, or something that you missed in class. You can also highlight and underline key information. Another way to apply your thinking is to work on that left-hand side of the page. This is the question column where you can write headings, notes, and questions. And these questions need to be answered by the notes. So you're going to think about what you could put on the left-hand side that might be a question that could be asked on a test or that will help you review the information that shows up on the right-hand side. Now's your chance to give that a try. On your handout, write 3 questions that are answered by the notes. A good hint for doing this is to aim for 1 question for each section of information on your notes. Work on this with a neighbor and be prepared to share with the group. Pause the video now. Here's an example of some possible questions you could have. For the first section, you could ask, what are C notes? And then you could ask, when should I take notes and how should I take notes? These are basic questions that are answered by the right-hand side. If you're a senior student, you're going to want to start to think about higher level thinking and higher level questions, things that involve comparing and contrasting or predicting. After the lesson, you're also going to review your notes. This will involve writing a summary at the bottom of the page. Think about what the entire lesson was about and write that summary. 3 to 5 sentences is a good guideline. And unless it was provided, you'll also want to add an essential question at the top. Think about what big question these notes answer. And a pro tip is to try to connect your essential question and your summary. Ask a big question at the top and have your big answer at the bottom. Another way to review your notes is to fold the paper. That way you can quiz yourself using the questions you've written and see if you remember the answers that you took in the notes. You can also reread your summaries instead of rereading every page of notes. This leads us into studying, because of course you can see how using the Cornell Notes system is a type of studying. Another great study tool is to use flashcards for vocabulary and information. Some people like to use paper flashcards, and other students find apps like Quizlet particularly handy. Many of your classes and teachers will have already set up Quizlet sets for the course that you're taking. It's also a good idea to do practice questions, especially for courses like math and science. And finally, you can use memory tools like creating rhymes or songs to remember something, or even creating an acronym like the STAR note-taking system to help you remember the steps in a process. With organization, note-taking, and studying strategies, you're set up for success in Spectrum. Remember that you can work on any of these strategies at any time during collaboration and ask your peer tutors for help. Happy collaborating!